Someone once said, don't ever go to San Francisco unless you're in love. In love with a beautiful girl, or a house on a hill, or a yacht in the harbor, or a baseball team.
In 1958, when we first came out here, as you know, the Giants was coming to a new, strange city. But they didn't realize that we had a Major League Ball club. I was the center field, as you know. Joe DiMaggio was the center field that grew up in this area. It was very hard for me to try and compete with a guy like Joe D. But again, I don't blame the people of San Francisco because Joe had played here. And they had seen what he could do, and they had only heard what I could do. Right now, I think that San Francisco is one of the finest cities that a ball player could play in and even live in. So I feel that when I quit baseball, San Francisco will be my hometown.
The American Broadcasting Company presents Portrait of Willie Mays. The Portrait Series is brought to you by GMC, the truck and coach division of General Motors. See your GMC dealer and find out what a difference a name makes. This dramatic moment, late in a game in August between the arch rivals, the Giants and the Dodgers. Willie Mays at bat, the battle for first place. But a baseball story must begin way back in the spring.
This year has been a very good year for us. This is the year we finally bought our ski lodge. And our weekend home in the country. And our beach cottage. And our hunting fishing retreat.
For less than the price of a station wagon, you can get a GMC pickup, specially equipped to carry your camper. It's a rugged foundation for that country place, beach cottage, ski lodge, and hunting fishing retreat. GMC, what a difference a name makes.
I think one of the nicest things that anybody would want to do on a sunny afternoon in the early spring is lean here on the batting cage and without a care in the world, watch Willie Mays hit a few.
Hey, Maxie.
I'm Chris Schenkel. I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona at the San Francisco Giants training camp, where the 1967 spring training season begins, the 92nd season in the history of the National League. This is a portrait of Willie Mays, center fielder of the Giants, beloved by everyone, admired by his fellow professionals. This is a portrait of baseball today and the story of the long, long season. It is a portrait of a man who is second to Babe Ruth in the record books as he begins to move on the immortal Ruth's home run title. It is the story of the final weeks of action of the 1966 season, when the pennant fight went down to the last inning of the last day for Willie and the Giants.
No, come on.
Baseball is a game of inches and angles and 1,000 accidental occurrences. Spring training is the time for 1,000,000 repetitions of details and rhythms, quick hands, in a game where practice makes perfect. And sometimes the rabbit gets away. The big pitchers take a few weeks to limber their valuable arms. The Bolins, the Perrys, and the relief staff all work up to it easy. While in batting drills, the automatic pitching machines tirelessly feed strikes to the batter until the hurlers are ready to go to the hill. The wealthy, well-liked owner of the Giants, Horace Stoneham, surveys his team and begins to hope as the veterans plan The coaches plot. The manager and the captain prepare for the warm afternoons when the rookies and the veterans are one. The full-dress exhibition ball games begin. Baseball is caring about all the little things that come before the final pitch and the winning run. The long season begins in this first weekend in March in Arizona or Florida. The modern ball player stays in fine shape all year long, and the intensity of the action and excellence of play on the first days in the spring is remarkable. The professional attitude is there on the field. The rookies learn about the veterans, and the veteran Mays learns about rookie Kelly's pickoff move to first and is out. Willie will remember that. The managers today have 5 or 6 experienced coaches with teaching ability who never miss a trick. If a rookie has the ability, his club will find it out. Fielding, throwing, hitting, base running, sliding, upsetting that catcher. To the folks watching, that play was a nice out. Look again. To the 200-pound athletes involved, it was an all-out collision, and they began to taste it right then. The man responsible for all this talent is the manager, the gruff-voiced, straightforward Herman Franks.
Very few people understand Willie Mays. At times, even I feel as though I don't understand him, and I think I know Willie as well as most everyone. Especially they say, why does he need rest? Lord knows I don't want to rest him because this is my ball club. However, I know there's certain little mannerisms he has that I just have to rest him. And when I can give him a day off, especially 2 days off, he comes like gangbusters for me. He carries the ball club. And another thing that the public doesn't know about Willie, in fact, I doubt if anyone knows this, that he has complete responsibility of this ball club. He feels though it's on his shoulders. If he doesn't hit, that the club doesn't win, and he's rightfully so. When Willie hits, the saying goes, so goes Willie, so goes the Giants, and this is certainly the truth. And it's a tremendous pleasure for me to manage this boy. I mean, as a coach, I coached him in 1951 when he first started, and all through the years, he's helped me so tremendously. He's helped me with the ball club. He's an inspiration to all the ball players. No one can appreciate this fellow until they see him play ball every day. They all know he's a great ball player, but I've had ball players come from other ball clubs that play with him every day, and they said, we didn't realize he was this great a ball player. I think that I have seen Willie do most everything on the baseball field. And with Willie, he can beat you at the bat, he can beat you in the field, he can beat you on the bases. I have never seen a complete ball player like this in my life that can do everything, and this is what makes Willie so great.
I love baseball, and baseball is just one happy thing.
Oh, Willie, you're too much. Just one happy thing. Behind the ageless laughing kid, make no mistake, in a game, there is the enormous concentration on every pitch, at bat, on base, or in the field. The hands, the eyes, the heart and legs, and gifted touch. He plays with skill, flair, and a professional grace. He can make every play. He is instinctively inventive, physically powerful. This is the intense face no one sees from the stands. The floating grace under the fly ball. Willie Mays shares nothing with baseball. No other great players except perhaps Sisler, Wagner, and Mathewson have done this for an entire career. Willie has paid the price, and it has paid off. The Giants have finished 1, 2, 3, 11 times in the 15 years Willie has played for them. Last season, they were leading in August. It was bitter and close, and the Giants lost out on the last day. One big reason was Koufax.
Koufax, he's so great to look at. Back in New York, this kid never had a lot of control. He could always throw the ball, but now he has more confidence, and he makes the batter hit his pitch. When I'm facing him, I look for the breaking ball, but it seems like he wants me to hit the fastball, and he'll throw the fastball right by me.
Here, Willie, number 24, leaves the plate after Koufax strikes him out. This is Willie Mays in late August against the Dodgers in Candlestick Park. San Francisco was in first place, percentage points ahead of Pittsburgh. Los Angeles was in third, 3 games back. This was a showdown for the National League pennant. Bob Boland pitching against Sandy Koufax. Watching Mays make his famous basket catch at his belt buckle in center field, and watching Willie jog into the dugout, is as much a part of the game for the fans who love him as anything else he does. Everyone seems to know his every mannerism.
Well, the reason that I touch first base is that, again, I'm one of those ball players that are a little superstitious about certain things. I feel that if I miss first base sometime, I have to worry about going back and touching it. And it seems like when I go to the plate, nothing happened as far as me getting a hit.
You need a little more than a bat when you step in against the man who has pitched 4 no-hitters, including a perfect game, 40 shutouts, and has achieved over 2,350 strikeouts in 12 seasons in the majors.
Well, the first thing I do when I go to the plate, I try to dig in. I glance at the pitcher just to see what he's doing. And sometimes he watches me a lot just to see how far I'm going to dig in. And we have certain guys in the league just won't let you dig in too much. I love to face Koufax. I think I do pretty well against him, but I think any guy that can come sidearm to a right-hander is more effective than a guy that comes overhand. Koufax comes overhand, but he throws the ball so hard and has so good a curve that it doesn't make any difference how he comes. Now, you can see the ball as it's coming in here. I can pick it up just about halfway and just about tell whether it's going to be a breaking ball or a fastball. But with a guy like Koufax, it's just kind of hard to try to set yourself in one pattern. You just have to look for the ball and hit what you can see.
Of course, the trick is, if you can't hit a pitcher, at least get on. Work him for a walk. If you're as dangerous a hitter as Willie is, any pitcher will pitch you more carefully, going for the corners, try to get you to swing at bad pitches. In a scoreless game, a walk can begin a possible momentum. Mays the hitter then becomes Mays the base runner, another art.
When you're batting against a guy like Koufax, get on first base any kind of way you can. When I get on first base, I forget all about him. I'm concentrating on mostly is getting to second, running the bases as fast as I can, trying to make it home. What you have to do mainly is concentrate on what is happening in the game, and especially on a double play. Try to run as hard as you can to get there to try to upset the guy that is trying to pivot and make the double plays. You've got to go in different types of ways just to offset him just a little bit so he won't make the double play.
The Giants could do nothing against Koufax in the bottom of the 6th, and with the wind whipping across Candlestick, Bolin gives up his second single to the Dodger veteran Jim Gilliam. Koufax is as poor a hitter as he is a great pitcher, the paradox of most pitchers. But he manages the vital sacrifice with a swinging bunt. Gilliam was now on second base in scoring position. Bolin took the sign from his catcher, Tom Haller, as Maury Wills, number 30, hitting left-handed, waved his bat and sliced a line single to left center.
As you see the cutoff man come across, he's trying to line me up for the throw. In a situation like this, on this play, is that to catch the ball in my hand and try to throw it all in the same motion. Now, I think it's a bad play if you miss the ball, but this is what you call a 2-out play. Either you do or you don't. And in this situation, I happen to come off the ball and threw a pretty good strike on play.
Bolin has only given up 1 hit in 7 innings, and he has now walked Parker for the 3rd time. Anytime a pitcher pitches this type of game, he never has a breathing spot in this whole game. He's had to bear it down. He's had to go all out the whole ball game. And Bolin has done this so far in this game, and I feel as though he's been tiring a little bit. However, I have to give him one more chance, and Willie Davis sacrificing, then pitching to Ron Fairley. He did have Fairley ground the ball to shortstop. Haller had just moved Fuentes back to his right about 2 steps, and the ball was hit right over the same spot where Fuentes had been standing.
It was now a new game. Koufax had a lead to work on, and he held it as the Dodgers went on to win. This took some of the polish off Mays' throw, but the sign of greatness in those brief seconds was not erased in the minds of the fans or the other players. It was one of Willie's greatest throws. This was Sandy's last game in Candlestick Park, and as always, the sight of him firing that ball in the 9th inning was unforgettable.
One minute you are racing around looking simply gorgeous, and the next minute you are something else, a brute with muscles like Hercules. I mean, what are you anyway? Beauty or the Beast? Ah, just look at you sitting there like butter would melt in your mouth. And look at your new styling. 4 headlights you got yet. And here, you are a raging, pounding, pulsing workhorse. Horse? 220 horses. You are tough, tough, tough. Except here. Ah, you are a racy, sportsy, zippy little chickie baby. I know what you are, you crazy little kid. You are Beauty and the Beast, all rolled up into one. Come, let me take you away from all this.
Analyze a pickup at your GMC dealer. GMC, what a difference a name makes.
Willie Mays lives alone behind miles of drawn curtains, searching for whatever privacy there is off the field. That quiet time alone. The life of a celebrity is not always ideal. You have to pay a price that quite often is greater than or as great as the cheers and plaudits and the wealth.
The fans have been very good to me. They've been great. Mail has been coming in, but I don't worry about the grown people too much. I worry more about the kids. I love receiving letters from young kids, 10, 12 years old, because I feel that when they write a letter, they really write for something that they really want. But sometimes the grown people, they can write letters just saying that you're having a good year, you can be doing pretty good for this year. But when I really need them, when I'm going to a slump, they don't write. And the kids seem like they don't care if you're in a slump or not. They continue doing it.
Willie's home, decorated all in gold and white, is high on a hill overlooking the famous Golden Gate Bridge. He leads the gracious life of a superstar in these luxury surroundings, a far cry from his boyhood in the South. But Willie remembers.
You know, when I was young, growing up in Alabama, I don't really think I had a really bad childhood. My father, he played baseball. My mother ran track, and I can remember right now the childhood that I had back in Birmingham, and I can remember even the house that I live in. It actually wasn't a shotgun house. It was a nice 3-bedroom house that my aunt and my cousin and another boy lived in. But my father provided for me very well. I didn't want for anything, and he was mostly a Pullman porter, did a lot of traveling. So the house that we had wasn't a house where you would want to live, but I really appreciate the house.
Babe Ruth used to say, start a boy young. Teach him to play ball when he's 4 years old. In the spring of any year, a boy with a bat and a ball is secretly to his father, a major leaguer. So it was with Willie and his dad.
Well, when I first started playing ball with my father, about 5 or 6 years old, he was playing semi-pro ball around Birmingham, and he was working in what you call a steel mill team around Birmingham. And I used to play with the big fellas, like 19 and 20 years old when I was about 12. And I was what you call a bad boy, but fortunately they let me play when like this in the last 2 innings, or maybe second base or first base. And I didn't play much ball around the neighborhood because I'm not bragging, but I was a little better than the neighborhood kids. And the bigger fella used to take me on what you call a road trip with me and let me play along with them. And when I was about 15 or 16, I guess they had scouts watching me, and they signed me with the Giants. And as you know, they signed me right out of high school. I didn't go to college. I had a good chance to go, and I'm not unhappy that I didn't go, but I advise all young kids to go to college if they can go.
The gold clock says 10:15, and time to be going to the park to play Los Angeles again. Willie, after a night game and a late meal, gets home past midnight. So there's very little time to relax. The games just keep coming, night and day.
You know, what I need today is a couple of base hits to make me happy. You know, anything can beat the Dodgers. I feel that all kids should get their education first, whether they like baseball, football, or anything. But I feel that baseball is the sport to play. I know for my son, if he want to play sport, he's going to school first before he even think about start playing. I can't think for the guys that want to play sport. That's up to them. I know the money is here.
The kid from Birmingham earns far more than $125,000 a year playing baseball. He doesn't smoke or drink. And although this is no criteria for greatness, It does help him stay in shape and avoid injury. When he arrives at Candlestick, the kids are there to greet him. And beyond the gate, his quiet private hours are over. And he enters the diamond and the first loud roar.
Batting third, number 24, center fielder WIllie Mays.
This is the ballpark called Candlestick that the city of San Francisco built for the Giants when they moved west. A modern cement circular structure sits on a point of land in the bay and is famous for its swirling wind at night and glorious sun in the day. Famous for the sophisticated and loyal fans of the Bay Area and for the lovely ladies of San Francisco who love Willie and the Giants. The ladies try to outdo each other with original chapeaus. Of course, the old-time ball fans come out too to see the tough ones. On this day, Juan Marichal goes against Don Drysdale. Drysdale sets his calling card on the plate as he pitches to Willie. Another historic Giant-Dodger game begins, and really it is no different than the ones in the late 40s in the Polo Grounds or the mid-50s in Ebbets Field. The ladies give the Dodgers and Don Drysdale the business. Since the days of Hilda Chester and the Cowbells in Brooklyn, it's still the same. Drysdale gets Mays to pop up, and the wild action begins. The series between the two clubs in the last 20 years has most always determined the outcome of the National League Pennant Race. The artful game between the clubs is to gain the momentum, to force the breaks. Of the 426 regular season games played, the Dodgers have won 220, the Giants 206. Many have been classics, some notorious, none dull. Two of the years have ended in playoffs, 1951 and 1962, with the Giants winning both.
I don't like to think any one team is tougher than another team, but when we played back in New York, the Dodgers then was the Brooklyn Dodgers. Oh, gee, we had some fights there. They had guys like Robertson, Newcomb, and Campanella, and we had the old-timers like Magler, Hearn, and Stanky, and Doc, and it just was a fight every time we played those guys. It seemed like most of the time when we were fighting for a pennant, you look up and there was the Dodgers either in front or either behind.
The Dodgers scored first in the top of the second, as Marichal gave up 3 singles to Lefevre, Roseboro, and Parker. Here, Johnson, number 41, signals Lefevre not to slide. The next play is typical of the hard-nosed meetings between the clubs. Lou Johnson pushes a perfect bunt, and Marichal, like a cat, is there, makes the tag, and a little extra. Marichal, number 27, is a fine competitor and pretends not to have felt the impact, but both men did. The fans and the Giant manager, Herman Franks, knew every play was vital.
Maury Will bunted this ball, and it was right down the third base line. I have never seen a third baseman make any better play than Jimmy Ray Hart made. He came in on the dead run, picked up the ball barehanded, and threw the ball to Haller, who tagged Roseboro out. I think Haller made a great play in catching this ball. When Jim Ray Hart picked up the ball, he threw it right from behind the runner, and the ball come from nowhere, and for Haller to catch this was quite a feat. I have never seen any third baseman make any better play than Jimmy Ray made today.
The baseball fan is devoted to the individual player, to his virtuosity. The unfailing, consistent delivery of a ball player makes him truly loved. When the home run is vital, they call on him. They yell, "Hit one out, Willie." And he comes through. The kids waiting beyond the outfield fence react with fanatical joy because their faith was answered in one resounding instant. They were proven right, and all the pure joy of a child comes surging back again to every fan in the park. Willie just hit one.
There's one thing about Willie. He always rises to the occasion. He's always there for the big series. The records he breaks, the Fox record, the Ott record, it seems as though he waits for the great occasion to hit the home run. I can't say that he times it this way, but he seems to rise to the occasion. Like when he broke Mel Ott's record this year. There was a terrific strain on this boy. There were newspaper men following this ball club from town to town. It was a tremendous strain. However, he did break it here. He hit the ball to right field. He came in, he got a standing ovation, and we just couldn't get him out there over twice. He says, the boys will think I'm hot dogging a little bit, as he would say it. The humility he has, just tremendous. And then we come up to where he broke Jimmy Fox's record to hit 535. This record wasn't so tough for him to break. He felt as though Mel Ott's record was the record.
The first Mays home run was off Warren Spahn in the Polo Grounds in 1951. Willie Mays had played a lot of baseball to the warm August night in 1966 when this historic headline appeared. Now Willie stood second to the Babe's 714 home runs.
Well, that wraps it up.
Not quite, Joe. We got to put in overtime.
Oh, man, the wife won't go for that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I don't go for these cigarettes.
What's the matter?
The taste, kind of washed out.
Oh, yeah? Here, try a cool.
Come up to the cool taste, the coolest taste in any cigarette. Get Cool's white filter, rich tobaccos too. Taste extra coolness, let Cool's come through for you.
Hey, this brand's for me.
Like 'em? First pack's on me.
Come up to the cool taste, the taste to stay with every time you smoke.
The jet roar is a part of every modern ball player's life. A long jump from the tedious train rides of the 20s and 30s. Today's ball clubs make the transcontinental trips in less time than it took John McGraw's Giants to get to Baltimore, as they fly over 50,000 miles a year to play 81 road games. The San Francisco Giants' nemesis of 1966 was the New York Mets. The last trip to Shea Stadium was typical for Willie and the team. You can't win pennants by splitting with the second division clubs. It's an old adage in baseball. You must build your lead on the tail enders.
Coming back to New York is always a pleasure for me. I think the people really love me in this city because I always try my best to do good here. Whether I do good or not, they seem to love me. And as far as the Mets is concerned, I don't like to play them, but they play real hard against us. It beats 9 times, and it's just a struggle to come in and play a club like this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'd rather play the Dodgers any day than play the Mets because they're so relaxed and they just kill you.
Willie's reception in New York at the Polo Grounds when he first came back to play the Mets, and now in Shea Stadium, is still as warm as the years the Giants played here. The big stadium scoreboard's message read, "The Mets sincerely salute Willie Mays in the final Shea appearance of the season. Frisco adopted you, Willie, but you'll always belong to all of us in New York." And then, in typical Met fashion, Dennis Rybant, Met pitcher, slipped 3 quick ones past Willie to strike him out. But the final score was just one more one-run loss for the Giants in the stretch, and one of 6 straight losses for Gaylord Perry, who had compiled a fantastic 20-2 record earlier in the season. That's baseball. The percentages catch up, and as the Giants flew home in second place, a game behind Pittsburgh, the Dodgers were in third, a game and a half back. Then it happened. The Giants lost 3 out of 4 to the Cubs. The Dodgers swept 4 from Houston, and Pittsburgh lost 2 to St. Louis. Los Angeles was in first. Pittsburgh 1/2 game back. The Giants a game and a half out, and then the Pirates came into Candlestick for the final San Francisco homestand and smashed them down 3 straight. On September 21st, before the final game with Pittsburgh, the Giants were 5 games back. It appeared that the Dodgers had only the Pirates to worry about. The Giant manager, Herman Franks, faced it head on.
Juan Marichal is pitching our last homestand game here today against Pittsburgh. This is our big pitcher. If anyone should hold him, he should do it for us.
But the momentum seemed hopelessly against the Giants, as Don Clendenin hit a 3-run homer to right off Marichal to break the scoreless game open. San Francisco did not have a hit off of Tom Sisk. Then, after a home run by Ken Henderson, substituting in right field, Willie Mays singled, went to third on 2 infield outs, and scored on a lose single. Pittsburgh leads 3-2, but there seemed no stopping the Pirates. Baseball is 9 innings, every play. In the bottom of the 8th, Clemente singled after a double by Alley. The Pirates swinging away. Marichal and the Giants hanging on. Stargell grounded to first, and Alley was out at the plate. Watch this play again, a tough one for a catcher. He must block the plate, but he is blind to the runner. As he takes the throw from first, Haller turns to make the tag. His big leg rides the base runner off, and he saves the run from scoring. Then, as so often happens in baseball after a fine defensive play, Haller comes to bat with Jesus Alou on first. Haller wallops a two-run homer to the kids in right, and the score is tied in the ninth. The pitcher's spot. Franks lets Marichal hit. The stroke of Lady Luck comes back, and suddenly complete defeat is stroked away with one solid hit to left. A home run by the Giant pitcher. The Giants, 2 outs away from being out of the race, are now still alive.
I say Marichal is the best right-handed pitcher in baseball today. In fact, I think he's the best pitcher that I have ever seen, going back to 1932 when I broke in. I have seen maybe particular pitchers that have a better fastball, a better curveball, or possibly a better change of pace. But I have never seen one pitcher with so complete a category of pitches. He has every pitch, the fastball, the change of pace, the curveball, the screwball, in complete command. He has pinpoint control of every pitch. I think Marichal is the best right-handed pitcher that I have ever seen.
So the San Francisco dressing room jumps for joy. The spirit and good feeling holds despite the late season bruises and all the weariness. The Giants are loose and happy. They have nothing to lose now. Maybe the hitting and the pitching would get together. Perry was due to win again, and surely Marichal could win 2 or 3. And Willie and the other big hitters, McCovey, Haller, and Jim Ray Hart, would start to go again. There was hope. The Giants had done it in their miracle year in 1951. Why not again? The team was packed for the final 3 series, the final week of the long season. Houston in the Astrodome, the Braves in Atlanta, and Pittsburgh again the final 3 days. All Willie and the team had to do was try to win them all.
Tickets, please.
Accutron owners can't stand the wrong time. Accutron time is kept by a tuning fork instead of a balance wheel. It splits a second into 360 parts and is used as a timer in satellites. The most precise time you can keep on your wrist.
The San Francisco Giants training in the brilliant sunshine of Arizona, March 1967. And Willie Mays relaxes in the outfield as he recalls the final days of the 1966 season.
You know, the series in Houston was kind of bad for us. We even lost the Sunday's game, and gee, I made an error into helping lose us. But, you know, we was kind of on the series in Atlanta. You know, when you go to Atlanta and play a ball club like Atlanta, you just don't figure to take 3 out of 3 there, but we did. We went in there and we played real hard. Marichal won the first one, I think. By winning that one, I think it gave us a little momentum to win the second and the third one.
Willie's steady fielding continued, and he roamed deep to pull in the drives of Aaron and Matthews and the other Braves. The Giant batters, coming back, pulled the team together. San Francisco was on the edge of the cliff. 1 loss, and they were out. They had to win them all. Los Angeles was playing St. Louis and winning. Then, with the stage again set, as the Braves were leading 3-1, Mays came to bat in the top of the 6th with Tom Haller and Tito Fuentes on base, and ripped a home run off a fastball by Jarvis of Atlanta. And San Francisco led 4-3. This shot set some records for Willie. Mays tied the National League record of 100 or more runs batted in 8 straight years. And the center field scoreboard spelled out another. Willie was matching the great ones in the record books one by one. This homer had tied Lou Gehrig's Major League record of total bases. The next night, Wednesday in Atlanta, the Giants were 4 games behind with 4 games to play. The going was rough.
As far as the knockdown is concerned, I've been getting that for the last 10, 12 years. Any guy can knock me down, I won't say a word, but if I go out there and my pitcher don't do the same, then that worries me more than getting knocked down. Because I feel that it's a challenge for me to get knocked down a lot because they only knock down the guys I think can do pretty good at the plate. The 250 hitters or 260 hitters, they don't get knocked down too much. Of course, I haven't seen that much been said about Williams, Musial, and Babe, and well, I would have to put Mickey in there because they don't get knocked down too much, and you'd be surprised how much different it can mean in hitting a home run when you know you're not going to get knocked down every time you go to the plate. The reason that I try to get down is quick because sometimes I'm not a brave guy as far as letting the ball hit me. I don't believe in it. Some guys say, well, gee, hang right in there. And as long as it's not my third strike, I don't care about it. I get out of there because I feel that I want to play to the next day.
Behind 2-1 in the 5th, with Perry pitching well, little Tito Fuentes came to the plate and almost fell over, reaching the seats with the big Giant hit of the night. Gaylord Perry went on to win his 21st victory, his first since August 20th. San Francisco had swept 3 games from Atlanta, and in St. Louis, the Dodgers lost, and Pittsburgh won 2 from Philadelphia. The Pirates were now only a game and a half behind Los Angeles. The Giants 3 games back, with 3 to play. On to Pittsburgh.
Get fast. Let's go. Stop or I'll shoot. Come here. Follow that car.
We'll never catch him in a truck. We will in this one. It's a new GMC pickup. V-Power. 220 horses. Hey, we're catching up. Look out for bullets. Don't worry. This baby's rugged. It's got 2 steel roofs instead of 1. Bucket seats, wall-to-wall carpeting, 4 headlights. Bet it costs a lot. Oh, you'd be surprised. Okay, here's where we nab him. Come on, get out of the car. Don't shoot. Okay. No. Don't shoot. Hands up. Okay.
GMC, what a difference a name makes.
You know, after the night we left Atlanta, it seemed like everybody was real happy. We arrived in Pittsburgh, and it seemed like everything was going wrong. It started raining, and, you know, when it started raining in a pennant race like that, it seemed like all the clubs let down, but I don't think we did.
There is no disappointment quite like the sight of late summer rain falling on the wide, wet tarp at the ballpark under the glare of the lights, when you've been looking forward to a real good ball game. The loyal Pittsburgh fans sat and shivered, waiting for the game that would not begin. Watching the scoreboard as the Dodgers lost to Chris Short in Philadelphia. The Giants had gained while waiting, as the last day of September went out sadly, with the lonely whisper of the umpire, the game was called. The rainout Friday night forced a doubleheader on Saturday between the Giants and the Pirates. The storm had moved up along the coast, and the second game between the Dodgers and Phillies was postponed, and this meant they would have to play a doubleheader Sunday. Things were getting interesting as Juan Marichal took the hill for San Francisco, going after his biggest prize, his 25th victory. Clemente started the Pittsburgh scoring quick. He shot a home run down the line, and Marichal watched it go. The Pittsburgh fans roared, for their Bucks could not beat out the Dodgers, and they were only 1 game out. They certainly wanted second place. The Pirates had the best hitting club in the National League. Marichal saw his long day. The Giants had to win. But the Giants dug in, and the defense held things together, although Pittsburgh was hitting Marichal freely. In the bottom of the 5th, Clemente doubled to right, scoring Matty Alou. Manny Mota going to third. Clendenin was at bat, looking to bust it open. Marichal sets, and the Pittsburgh first baseman lines a single to center. Pittsburgh led 4-3. But the Giants kept coming. In the 8th, Hyatt, playing for McCovey, bunted Hart to second.
As a manager, I can't say enough about the sacrifice. There are times that you definitely should sacrifice. However, every manager plays according to the ball players he has.
Ollie Brown doubled, scoring Hart. Heller walked. And Jim Davenport, who had come off the bench earlier, rifled a shot down the line, which Clemente made a great play on, but too late. The Giants had won 5-4, even though Juan Marichal gave up 13 hits. It was a demoralizing loss for the Pirates. In the late afternoon gloom, they played the second game, and Bob Boland pitched a masterpiece. Bill Mazeroski got the only hit, a bloop single into short right with 2 outs in the second inning. Boland faced only 28 men.
It's one of those old-time nothing ball games. Lanier opened with a scratch hit, and the ball was thrown away, and he ends up on second base. The bunt sign was flashed to Boland. We usually have a word sign that we give to whoever the man is up at the plate, not to let them charge and they hit away. But they were charging Boland, and we gave him the sign, and he hit a bomber to center field to score Lanier.
Can you imagine the Giant fans said all over San Francisco that happy Saturday night? Their beloved team had not only knocked Pittsburgh out of the pennant, they even moved past them into second place. The last day of the season. Glorious Sunday, sunshine under the Tower of Learning. How smart do you have to be to sweep the Pirates, or figure out that if the Phillies can beat the Dodgers in 2 games, this will not be the end of the season for the Giants. That will mean a playoff. Up in Philadelphia, the Quakers were out on the Sabbath. The city of brotherly love had none for the Dodgers. That's the way they play for a flag. The Phillies wanted them both. They had to beat Big Drysdale in the opener, and they got to him quick. The Philadelphia center fielder, John Briggs, led off the game with a home run to deep right in the first inning. The Phils got another. The Dodgers called a meeting, and Drysdale was out. Each game is momentum. Philadelphia had gotten a big pitcher out, but Los Angeles was out to wrap up the flag. The 2 games would be an interesting contrast. In Pittsburgh, an almost identical match. Clendenin led off, slammed a triple off the scoreboard in the second inning, then scored on Bailey's grounder. But Perry, pitching the final for San Francisco, weathered the start and pitched well. In the 3rd, the memorable moment again. Jesus Alou singled, and Willie Mays walked to the plate in the golden October sunlight, and with that mighty classic swing, powered one high over the scoreboard and out of Forbes Field. It was Willie's 37th home run of the year, his 103rd run batted in. Again, the perfect stage, the right time, the lift his team needed, the strength to hold on and try to win them all. They welcomed him home, and there was that certain feeling that it might all just happen. With the pressure on the Giant defense to hold Pittsburgh, the infield threw a few away, and the Pirates went ahead 3-2. The team looked to Perry to keep it close. It seemed the Pirate bench was also keeping their eyes on Gaylord. His fastball was dropping 2 feet. Now, after a big year of winning, the opposition is always going to throw stones. And the word around the league had it that Perry was throwing a spitter. A spitter is a pitch where the ball is moistened before delivery. The moisture in the trade is called a load. And about the 5th inning, the Pirate manager, Harry the Hat Walker, came flying out to the plate umpire Steiner to wish him happy October, and was promptly thrown out of the game. Stop action shows the ump's beautiful form. Walker claimed that Clemente could not hit a ball that did what the last pitch did, and that Perry was throwing a spitball. Out, says the ump, out, out, out. This is what Walker saw. Gaylord would touch his cap, then wet his fingers so. Now the rule book says, since the spitball is outlawed, that if a pitcher wets his fingers, he must wipe them on his uniform. But look closely. Perry wipes the 2 fingers he did not wet on his shirt, then on his letters, then throws the spitter. Says Walker. But the umpire says he wiped his fingers on his shirt. Like the book says, Harry, what else can I do? Now, this universal tableau has been happening with other pitchers since the spitter was outlawed 40 years ago. Naturally, Harry the Hat lost his case. And Gaylord reloaded. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the Dodgers had only to win the first game to win the pennant, but they were having their troubles. In the 8th, Lefevre slid home and is tagged out by catcher Dalrymple. Then the Phillies broke it open. Richie Allen singled and went to third on a wild throw. Then came home with the critical run seconds later, and the Phils won it. The fans were elated. The Dodgers now had to hope the Pirates would beat the Giants to give them the pennant. But in Pittsburgh, the Giants had other ideas. They had courageously tied the game up at 3-3 in the 9th with a clutch hit by Ossie Virgil. But Pittsburgh was fighting bitterly in the last of the 9th to win it. Alou got a bunt single. Alley singled to center, sending Alou to third, and manager Franks rushed to the mound to speak to his pitcher.
As Alley singled Alou to third, I came running out of the dugout to talk to McDaniel. I told him that if he had got behind Mota, to put him on, this would load the bases and to do his best with Clemente. And as I left, I told him, I'm going to win or lose it with you.
Manny Mota did draw the count out, and they put him on. Lindy McDaniels then got the big man Clemente on a hot slider, and the Giants were out of it into extra innings. Now, this was the moment that probably changed the 1966 World Series. For in the Dodger dugout, Sandy Koufax was waiting, hoping that the Giants would lose, that the pennant would be theirs, and that he would not have to start the second game. But with extra innings in Pittsburgh, there was too much at stake, especially since the Phils were starting Jim Bunning. Sandy Koufax was written into the lineup, and he went to the hill to pitch. What only he knew was to be his last regular season game.
Somebody here order a steamroller.
Yeah, we're all set.
Well, what I got to run over?
These Hager slacks.
You got to be kidding. I mean, that rig of mine weighs 20,000 pounds.
That's okay. These are Hager's new Forever Pressed Plus slacks. 55% Dacron, 45% worsted wool. They're the most wrinkle-resistant dress slacks ever tailored.
Look, mister, by the time I get through it, I'm not going to have wrinkles in their wrinkles.
Please hurry.
Okay.
Keep that reflection straight. Keep it in a straight line.
Okay, Joe, hold them up. Sharp crease, no wrinkles.
What'd you say the name of them slacks was?
Hager Forever Pressed Plus.
And they're made out of what?
55% Dacron, 45% worsted wool with permanent press.
Hager slacks. They just fit better, naturally.
In Pittsburgh, in the bottom of the 10th, lightning almost struck twice. The Pirates loaded the bases again, and with Alou, the league's leading hitter at bat, McDaniel once again put out the fire. A brilliant job. The Giants were still in business.
When the team came in the bottom of the 10th, I had a pretty good feeling. I had a couple of guys coming up I knew could hit the long ball, and the first man was Jim Ray Hart. So we lead off the 11th inning, and Jim Ray Hart gets a single, and I got McCovey up to pinch hit. He was halfway to the plate and come all the way back to the bench, and he said, "Don't you think maybe you should save me for a little later in the game?" I said, "Mac," I said, "it's got to be now." I said, "Go up there and hit one out of the ballpark."
Now, Big Willie McCovey is an honorable man, and when the manager tells him to hit one out, he does. He really did it. McCovey comes off the bench and unloads a tremendous 450-foot home run to right field. And Willie Mays leaped right off the dugout steps and 5 feet into the air. The team went wild. There was no difference really between this scene of high-salaried major league men and a little league dugout at the same moment.
After McCovey hit this home run, I have never seen a ball club like this in my life. So elated and so happy. In fact, Lanier was actually the next hitter, but no one paid any attention to it, and Davenport was up at the plate and had 2 strikes on him before I looked up and knew that he was hitting out of turn. I called him back, and we sent the right hitter up there, Lanier.
San Francisco had swept 3 from the Pirates and gained second place. The Giants as a team had enjoyed a remarkable finish, winning all their games in the final week against 2 hot clubs. San Francisco had been 1 out away on September 21st from being 6 games out. And now they had forced it all down to the last game of the season. All Willie and the Giants could do now was make the bus ride to the Pittsburgh airport and wait for the outcome of Philadelphia versus Koufax. Sandy turns to answer the roar from the stands. He realizes it is the final score from Pittsburgh. He sees the Giants have won. And now he knows he must beat Philadelphia to win the pennant. All the pain in that left elbow doesn't matter now. All the memory of the arm immersed in shaved ice. He threw so hard now he fell off the mound. He shut the Phils out cold for 8 big innings. When the Giants arrived at the airport, they went to wait alone in the lounge. They heard that Los Angeles had scored 6 runs and were leading 6-0. Willie just sat there and listened as half-inning reports came in on a transistor radio. He knew now it was all Koufax, and with a lead like that in the 9th inning, only a miracle would do it. Sandy was terribly tired. The Phils started to get to him in the 9th. Richie Allen was on first on an error. Keene singles Allen to second. Willie, with the card games around him, pretended not to notice, not to hear the report. Then in Philadelphia, Tony Taylor singles, scoring Allen, and there seemed to be a ripple of hope among the Giants. The Phils are scoring, someone called. They've got to go some, thought Willie. The Phils were running. Keene and Taylor scored on Bill White's vicious double off the scoreboard. Hey, man, the score is 6-3, and Philly's got nobody out. Dodger manager Walt Alston had come to the mound, and the word to Koufax was, stick it out. Sandy had 3 outs to go. Willie thought of how Koufax would fire that ball. He thought of his speed in those dark shadows in Connie Mack Stadium. Koufax got 2 outs quickly. A strikeout, a grounder, then 2 strikes on Jackie Brandt. 1 pitch, everything, all the pain of twisting in that elbow. Brandt swung feebly. He never saw the ball. The Dodgers had won. Sandy raced off the mound, his teammates running to meet him. The word came into the Giants. Chub Feeney, the vice president of the team, said quietly, "It's all over. They won it. We're proud of you anyway." Willie sat frozen for a long second and heard Ollie Brown whisper, "Too much Koufax." Sandy Koufax won his 27th game, and really, he was the difference. Mays sat up for the first time. Then he laughed. It had been a real good finish. The Dodger dressing room, it was a gas. Champagne, laughter, and crazy hats. For Los Angeles, it was their 4th pennant since moving to the West Coast. The Giants had just missed it. That was the race in 1966, as Willie remembers it.
You know, I've been in baseball for about 15 years now, and I think definitely that baseball has really changed. I think that baseball has changed because of the guys that are coming out of college seem to be more and more educated. But, you know, football seems like they are pushing baseball, but it's kind of hard to say because I can play 15 years, and you look around in football, how many guys have played 15 or 20 years and still in the same kind of conditions than I am. But I feel they may play a little more, but as far as the future is concerned, I think baseball have it all over. Well, this is an NL spring train. Our chances seem that are very good. We're improving the pitching, and I think the hitting has always been there, but most of all, you have to have that momentum to win, and I think this spring we have it. And I'm sure that we're going to be the one to try and do something real great. Our clubs to beat, I think, would be Pittsburgh, maybe Atlanta, and Philadelphia. So you never know as far as the pennant race is concerned. And as far as the home run is concerned, I'll give it everything I have, and who knows, I may have a chance at the Babe's record.
I wonder how it would have been if Willie and the Babe were in the same outfield. Of course, DiMaggio would have to play left, and then Tris Speaker or Ty Cobb would go when Willie was resting. Brent Rickey once wrote, "I challenge any baseball man to observe Mays on offense and defense for 9 innings exclusive of every other action on the field, and with clear conscience, not include him on the all-time team. This fellow plays the game all the time. In modern baseball, Mays is in a class by himself." Baseball will always endure because it's played in the summer, when the boys are home from school. Baseball is a romance that begins when a boy is very young. It starts him dreaming and teaches him to hope. April is the prettiest time of the year. Everything is new again. Each year, the beginning of a baseball season brings us together and makes us all younger in spirit. Willie exemplifies that spirit, the excitement, the excellence of the game. This is Chris Schenkel of ABC Sports, and this has been our portrait of Willie Mays. Portrait of Willie Mays has been brought to you by GMC, the truck and coach division of General Motors. See your GMC dealer and find out what a difference a name makes. This has been an ABC Sports presentation.